show. Thanks for coming on to Social Dream Machine. This show is dedicated to basically the creator economy and just making your first dollar online. I know you're an OG to the creator space. You've had a couple businesses that have made it to six figures. So tell me about your experience and like how you got into the whole creator business and your thoughts on it.
I have this big thing about the difference between an entrepreneur and a business owner. I think entrepreneurs want to change the world through innovation, whereas business owners just want to make some money doing good business. And I think I was the latter. So I built 12 businesses from scratch and decided I couldn't find what I wanted to do, really. I didn't enjoy any of it, to be honest. I enjoyed parts of it, but not any of it as a whole, as a business. And then I discovered that actually I was meant to be a solopreneur. And I think solopreneurs are, I define solopreneur as someone who wants to change their world. So an entrepreneur wants to change the world. A solopreneur wants to change their world. They want to live life on their own terms. Quite kind of selfish, right? It's like I want to do what I want, whenever I want, with whoever I want. And so I left everything behind 2015 and I started figuring out what the hell I'm going to do as a solopreneur. And that's what brought me to here today. So it's nearly it's 10 years nearly in the making of me being a solopreneur. And I built my brand offline, so not as a creator, or not in that sense, pre-COVID. Lost everything overnight because I was targeting hospitality sector, and then had to rebuild again after COVID. And as we were locked down, I started to build my brand on LinkedIn. Here we are.
It took me 8 months to monetize my LinkedIn. I help other people start podcasts, and it took forever to like monetize it. And I was also had just like a ton of like self-limiting beliefs going into it. Like, how do I charge this? Like how much should I charge? And I always looked at things in terms of like transformations. Like, obviously I think that the best results are something like if someone's not a podcaster, by the end of this thing, you are a podcaster, or like you haven't written a book. By the end of this, you've written a book or whatever. But how do you look at like the exchange of value? Because I feel like that always trips me up as far as like what to charge and like just getting, I think a lot of creators get in their own way of like what to charge and like get too in their head at times. But how do you look at value?
I think that's the same with entrepreneurs, by the way, and employees. I mean, I do some career coaching with people, and they don't know how to negotiate their salary or their bonuses. It's a limit. It's a normal limiting belief because we're operating in the unknown, right? And when we're operating in the unknown, it's like we don't know, so we have to make things up, and then it makes us feel like we're not good enough to figure this out, and we're going to make mistakes, and that's absolutely true. So I talk about the freelancer mindset versus the solopreneur mindset. Freelancer is time for money, right? Freelancer is, so when I was coaching, it's like you come to me and say, I want coaching. I say, okay, I sell them in six session packages. It's $100 a session, $600 you pay up front, you get the 6 coaching sessions. A solopreneur would say, why do you want coaching? And you would say, I want to start my podcast. And I'd say, great, I will work with you until you start your podcast, and I will charge you $2,000. So the risk reward is I'll get you what you want no matter how long. I might have to coach you every day. I might have to move into your house. I might have to, give up 6 months of my life to help you, but I'm only going to get rewarded once you get the outcome that you wanted. That's a mindset thing because people aren't willing to work for free or what's perceived as free. And there's also ways around that, right? And this is what people need to think a little bit outside the box. So I could charge you and then offer you a risk reversal. I could say, look, you pay me the $2,000, and if you don't get what you want, I'll give you the money back, or I'll keep working with you until you get what you want. So there's ways around that. And I think people are just unwilling to experiment. They want things nice and simple, like an employee contract. I work 40 hours a week. I get paid this much at the end of the week, and the story. And people like the comfort of that and the security of that. But you never you never stand out that way.
What do you think makes like a good offer out of your, I guess, expertise? Because it seems like you'd mentioned like kind of de-risking it with like kind of like a I'll work with you until the result happens type of thing.
Guaranteed outcome. Imagine, Jeremy, you go to a burger joint and you order a burger and they say, you might get the burger, you might not get the burger, but we're going to put the time in the kitchen. Yeah, you're going to be like, what the fuck? What do you mean? Or you book you book a plane flight and they say, we might get you to Vegas, we might not get you to Vegas. Yeah, let's see what happens. But we're still going to charge you for the gas and the fuel and the online entertainment. It's like, but I don't want. This is the other thing people don't understand. No one cares about the process. No one cares about the flight and the in-flight entertainment and the food that they serve you. They don't give a fuck about that. They care about, are you going to get me to Vegas at the time I need to get to Vegas? Right? That's all they care about. So too many creators I see talk about the process. No one gives a fuck. Too many coaches talk about their credentials. No one gives a fuck. No one cares. They care about, I'm going to tolerate you. I'm going to tolerate, and it is, I mean that specifically. I'm going to tolerate your process and your bullshit and your pricing and your contracts and your demands, right? I'm going to tolerate all that on the premise that you're going to get me what I want. And then I'm going to say bye and I don't want to have anything to do with you again. We have to understand it's not about, we're not the star of the show. The star of the show is the person who's paying us. There's too much ego. And I'm talking from my own personal experience. There's too much. It's about me. It's about what I can do. I'm the savior. It's my process. It's my, the action framework, ACTI. It's like, no one cares about any of this shit. No one cares about that stuff. So I think we need to get out of this idea that we are the star and make the buyer the star. Just have this attitude that we're going to help them along the way. I'm not the reason that you're going to be successful, but I can help you get there with less needless suffering.
How do you go about approaching your business? I actually went to one of your things. It looked like you hold like a webinar type of thing, and then you basically do like almost like a live training session. It seems like, is that kind of like the model that you've been using?
I like live engagement, and I think people tend to react to my live engagement more than my emails and my little DMs. Content needs to direct them to your offer. I think not this is my offer, buy it, but it needs to direct them, meaning it needs to reveal a problem. It needs to show your competence or your credibility in understanding a particular problem that somebody might have. Reframing things. There's a lot of creators that get good engagement, but it's like, you're just fucking regurgitating shit from other people. So here's one thing that really helped me with my content. I used to wag the finger. And you know what I'm talking about, Jeremy. It's like, you need to do this. And to be a solopreneur, you need to do this. And you need to be. And I realized I wasn't getting any traction. So I changed it to, this is what I used to do. And this is what I do now. Or these are the mistakes I used to make. And this is how I fix them. Or this is the shit that I used to pull. And this is how I realized actually wasn't very good. And when I started talking from the I, me, mine, people started resonating a lot more, because you're more inclined to receive the feedback if it's not directed at you confrontationally, right? So that's the first thing. And then why am I telling you a story? Why am I saying to you, I used to sell like a freelancer and now I sell like a solopreneur? Because I want you to go, oh shit, that's one of my limiting beliefs, and I need to know more about how he can help me. And then you'll be more inclined to follow my content. And then one of my posts is going to say, I'm running a masterclass on how to position yourself as a solopreneur, or I've got this lead magnet that's going to explain to you the difference between a solopreneur and a freelancer, and you're more inclined to then download that or turn up to the masterclass or whatever it is. So everything's advancing the conversation towards my offer. We talk about your first dollar. I think the first $100,000 is the hardest. I say $150,000 really, because I think there's not much difference between $100,000 and $150,000. I think that's your hardest, right? So $15,000 a month. Let's think of it that way. How do we get there? One offer to one audience. That's it. That's all you need. No advertising. You spend maybe $80 a month on LinkedIn Helper. You might need a Zoom account, but you can get everything with Google. So $70 you pay a year for Google Workspace. $80, $150 a month is all that's going to cost you to run an effective LinkedIn strategy. And the idea is, I've got one offer that I'm going to keep talking about and keep pointing you towards, but the offer has to be an outcome-based offer, not 6 coaching sessions. It has to be an outcome. It has to be, I will coach you, mentor you, live in your house, sleep in your bed, whatever it takes to get you the outcome that you want. That's the only thing I do. And I'm going to keep talking about that. And occasionally, 1 in 10 posts, I will plug something.
How do you know if there's enough of a market for whatever it is? Or do you think that there's like always like a market, is like if you niche down to some sort of degree? Because I think that's also a limiting belief of some people. If they feel like they're going to niche down too much, like how do they know if there's enough actual market for them to actually go after?
So the Flat Earth Convention had 1,500 people attend. So there's a market for everything. There's 1,500 people that are willing to pay money for a Flat Earth Convention. Then I'm pretty sure you're going to find a market. And then I ask people, well, how many clients do you need? It's like, we make the world so small. It's like, how many clients do you need? 5 clients a month? So I can pick any niche and I can find 5 clients a month. And I think the more niche you are, the more they'll be attracted to you, right? You imagine, like, I'm in Seattle now, and there's lots of Ethiopian restaurants, right? So if I wanted to open a restaurant, I wouldn't open an Ethiopian restaurant here because there's loads of them and they have amazing ratings online. So it's like, why would I do that, right? But if I came and I said, oh, there's a small Turkish community here, or there's a small Greek community, and there's no good Turkish or Greek restaurants, you're going to get all the Turks and all the Greeks, and you know what I mean. So there's always a market, but that's the first thing. Second of all, you have to keep your eyes open. So how do I know there's solopreneurs? Well, they're on LinkedIn, first of all. Second of all, 10,000 Spotify employees laid off, 20,000 Meta employees laid off. What are these guys going to do? Where are they going to go? If the richest companies in the history of the world are laying off tens of thousands, where are those guys going to go? Most of them are going to want to do their own thing. So I kind of think of it more as, where do I find them, rather than are there enough of them? And I think that's the reframe that you want to think about.
I don't know if this is like a trend that's happening, or I don't. I feel like I got that bug maybe a few years back of like saying to myself, I'm not going to like rely like on one source of income ever again. And it was like this weird thing where I just moved to Austin and I got laid off from my marketing director role, had a brand new like apartment to pay for, and just it was a terrible situation to be in. And I just remember thinking to myself, I will never allow this to happen to myself again. And I'm gonna go ahead and like take whatever do whatever it takes to just start building like like one payment at a time type of situation until I get myself into a place where I'm no longer relying on just like one employer or whatever. And I think that that's kind of a trend though. Do you think that that's just from all these layoffs over the years and just like the people realizing that the job market is not necessarily as secure as it seems to be?
Yeah, I mean, it's still much easier to just go get a job, right? It's much easier if you can, because then you've got your steady income. But on my banner on LinkedIn, I say job security is a myth, because it is a myth, because there's no such thing as job security. It's like saying marriage is for life. It's like, no, it's not. You could just walk out of your marriage whenever, when there's no vow anymore. You know what I mean? It's the same idea. But here's the thing. This is really important. A solopreneur is committed to solopreneurship. So by hook or crook, they're going to find a way. That's how I distinguish between self-employed or solopreneurs. Self-employed is just saying, let me give it a go until I got to pay the mortgage, until my money runs out. That's not a commitment. That's just delaying the inevitable, right? And so it's like an art. You meet these artist types that say, I'll live under a bridge, but I just want to do my art. I don't care about the money. That's solopreneurship for me. What I want to be independent. I have this rule that within 3 months I can get out of anything I've signed within 3 months. So the maximum I have to tolerate is 90 days. Maximum. Rent, lease, car, contract, no matter what it is. Right? That was my goal, because I wanted to feel like I'm independent from anyone and anything. Right? So I'm committed to that. What does commitment mean? Commitment means I'm going to do whatever it takes to make that true. Not until now. People come to me and say, but I got kids and I got a mortgage. Okay, well, that's your commitment, is family, mortgage, house, settling. That's your commitment. Mine is independence. You have to be really clear on what you want and where you're headed. I have clients that say to me, freedom is my number one principle, right? My number one value, freedom. But they got 2 dogs, 2 mortgages, a marriage, 3 kids. It's like, where's the freedom showing up in your decisions? This is where also I'm creating content. I'm going to be a solopreneur. Why? Because I'm sick of my job. I'm sick of getting laid off. That's not a reason. You got to be working towards something, not running away from something, right? You get kicked out of your house, it helps you look for something else. But you need to type both in. What do you not want? Here's a good rule of thumb, Jeremy. If you don't know what you want, start determining what you don't want and getting rid of those things. Like when you don't know what to eat and you're looking at the menu, or you're in a food court or something, you start eliminating. I definitely don't want that. I don't want sushi. I'm not in the mood for fish. We do that all the time. That's a really good rule of thumb also. If you don't know what kind of life you want to live, start thinking about the life that you don't want to live and making sure that doesn't happen first. And then it'll become much, much clearer what you want.
What about as far as like your price? How did you get comfortable, I guess, charging higher ticket prices?
Started low. I mean, when I became a coach, I was an ex-entrepreneur who wanted to become a leadership coach. No one paid me, right? No one paid me. And so I did it for free. You know, if you and I want to start a band and no one pays us, no one gives us a record deal, what's the alternative? Well, we have to go and play places that will have us play for free
Hmm.
until someone pays attention to us and maybe gives us a paid gig, until someone then gives us a record deal. So it's the same thing, I think, as solopreneurs. And this is where people will fail because they don't want that life. They want to have the investment and the holiday and the car and the new iPhone and whatever it is. And it's like, well, then go and get a job and stop complaining about your lack of freedom.
I actually worked for free too for like the first couple of clients that I had, one in Australia and like one in the UK actually. And it's interesting that some people scoff upon it. And I feel like you kind of need that experience in order to like really feel comfortable and confident charging. Because at the end of the day, you're not really sure you can get the results. Yours are all outcome based, I'm assuming. So they're just wanting more. Yours are all around income. Is that what it is? About like making your first kind of six figures is kind of like the dream outcome I'm hearing.
Yeah, essentially, because what do people want? They want status. What status? Health, wealth, relationships. How much money do I make? How healthy am I? And how much time do I have, essentially? And then who do I know and who am I spending time with? That's what they care about. So I try and tap into all of them. So I call it six-figure freedom. So I say you want to be earning enough money to be able to do whatever the F you want and then be part of a cohort. So I tap into that also. Be part of a cohort of other solopreneurs, be part of a community where you can get the support. So I try and tackle all three things. And I think that's another thing creators fail to do. They fail to understand the psychology of why people buy and then
Mm,
say, you know, oh, I got this new offer about, 65 great hooks that will help you with your content. It's like, yeah, but how much are you going to charge for that? How much are you going to charge for that? I mean, Justin Welsh charges $150 for his courses, but he built
mhm.
them once and he's got 500,000 followers and he's going to sell those by the hundreds a week. So that's a business, but that's not a business model for a creator. Doesn't have 500,000 and doesn't have 1,500 engagements every post. You know what I mean? Why would I buy your LinkedIn course when I can go and buy Justin Welsh for $150? The king of LinkedIn. Why would I buy yours? If I can watch Jim Rohn for free on YouTube, why am I going to pay to live stream of some coach's personal development program? I could just watch Jim Rohn or Tony Robbins on YouTube.
That is the weird thing, though, is that people do buy information somehow from certain people. I don't know. Is it because they like that person, or because they feel that that person? I mean, Matt Barker comes to mind actually too, because Matt Barker obviously doesn't have nearly as many followers as Justin. I think probably about a quarter of it. But at the same
Mhm.
time, he does have a great little digital. He has a great business based upon a lot of those templates and things that he makes, and I think that he has some things for it. So it is interesting, like how to your point though, not every model works for every person.
I don't know how much Matt Barker sells.
Yeah,
I mean,
I
I
don't know
don't
either.
even know how much Justin Welsh sells. He tells us, they tell us,
Yeah.
but that's also part of the marketing. I mean, it's the same as it, everybody talks about how much money they make, but very few people show their bank statements.
Mm,
Interesting, no?
yeah. No, it is.
I did a post where I showed my bank state. I showed the number of orders that came in from my masterclass. It's like, show it. I blanked out the names. I didn't give away anyone's private information, but it's like show the Stripe links, show the money.
I feel like it could be made up. You never really know. Like you never really know what's true and what's not.
I'll
Yeah.
tell you how I know because I was involved in with a hedge fund, and we looked at businesses to buy, and most of it is creative accounting. If I don't have to show you my books, then I can say I make $100 billion of like who's going to stop me from saying that? I'll tell you the difference. When I come and say, Matt, I brought Matt Lenhoff to help me with content and I'm paying him $3,000 a month, and I got Sarah Callan to run my webinar and I pay her $1,500. Then you go, this guy must be making money because how the hell is he paying $5,000 in contractor fees? So you got to show it somehow. Not just a picture in a pretty hotel. Anyone can get a pretty. You can go to Dubai in August because no one wants to go to Dubai in August and get the most luxury hotels for like a couple of $100 all in. So it's like all this stuff. I think people sense this, right? And I think people are getting more and more desensitized to the content and more aware of what's bullshit and what isn't. And you can also get a lot of content for free. So, but back to your point, like people might be doing well. I don't know. I don't know. All I know is I've never met anyone who's proven to me that they make money without working fucking hard for it, including Justin. Justin Welsh is on LinkedIn 5 hours a day, 4 hours a day, 7 days a week, hustling, writing, connecting, meeting. He's not just sitting on his ass posting. I don't know anyone who makes money passively.
Why do you think Justin did so well? Do you think it was because of like his timing with like the whole kind of I got fired. I was an executive that was burnt out. You know, that story hit for whatever reason, and then it just sort of like cascaded to him into a star. Or like, how did that happen? You think?
Gary Vaynerchuk came out in 2020 and he said, Facebook's dead. Now's the time for LinkedIn. And I remember watching that. And that's kind of one of the reasons I went all in on LinkedIn. But I didn't take it seriously. And then he just started writing content. And then he released this thing called Audience and Income, where he said, we're going to do and I was part of that community, membership community, a couple of $100 a year. And we'll all get together on Slack and we'll exchange ideas and we'll meet up once a month and blah, blah, blah. And he sold 600 spots like that. That's $120,000. And that's when he realized I got an audience that are willing to pay. And he called it Audience and Income. So he knew already because I think he'd launched his course already. But he tests. He's not stupid, right? He's a sales guy. So, and he understands marketing and he understands data. So everyone thinks it's just content. It's like, what makes a good movie, Jeremy, or what makes a good restaurant or a bar? You can't just put your finger on it and say, oh, great food, or it's like, it's not true, because there's lots of places with great food or great actors that flop, right? It's a whole number of things. It's data, it's objective, it's subjective, it's feeling, it's authenticity, it's engagement. But here's the one thing I know for sure. If he didn't go all in on his brand, he would not be where he is today. And he went all in on his brand. All in. Justin Welsh. No brand, head of this and CEO of this and some logo. It was Justin Welsh. And I'm going to talk about what I know. And if people are interested, then I'll be able to give them some solutions.
Yeah, he definitely kind of led the way. But there's this whole area like of Twitter called like Twitter money, I guess. And that's like the Dan Coes of the world. And like these guys that are just kind of like the kind of not the normal track of life, but are just absolutely crushing it on their own terms. I mean, I've heard a report that like Dan made something like 4 million in revenue from like all of his, I don't know if it's true or not. That's just like that's what I've heard, but it doesn't surprise me if he does, because he's got like hundreds of thousands of views on YouTube, and he's got like a killing, like a ton of people on his email subscription list. So I know those guys are crushing it, but it's really fascinating to see like what's possible.
The thing is, the market is small, because if I wanted to learn about X, I would go to Y. Why would I go anywhere else? And now, to your point earlier about, there's other people that are making, how much money are they making? Right? Because everyone's going to go to McDonald's. You might get a little fast food joint that makes a bit of money, but everyone's going to McDonald's. Everyone's buying Coca-Cola, right? So often the winner stands out in the market, and because of the internet, you know who the winner is, and because they're scaling their products. Now, where do I differentiate? You need me. I don't sell content or downloads. I sell my time. That's where I can be different to Justin Welsh. You want my time, although Justin Welsh, if he sells his time, he can charge probably 10 times what I charge. But that's the idea. It's like, what can I give them that no one else can give them? Me. You can sit with me in a room and ask me questions, and I'll go through it with you, and I'll tell you how it is. And if you feel like you can trust me, then let's talk. I think that's the idea. There's one more thing to say about Justin Welsh, and I learned this from him. The more I talk to people, the more I understand what their problems are. So, for example, every time I run a masterclass, I tend to follow up with people by voice. Not everybody, but I pick out a few people and I follow up with them. What did you get out of it? What would you like to have seen? And I start to notice a common thread. This is what they're asking for. Now I have my next course or my next lead magnet or my next topic. And that's the thing that Justin did really well. He spoke to so many people and then understood that people didn't know how to use LinkedIn and they wanted to. And he built the LinkedIn operating system.
People will go into things without talking to their customers or getting market feedback. And I've done that before. I've tried to like build, like I'm actually building a cohort community right now with a buddy to teach people how to podcast. And like we're using like Heartbeat, this app, in order to get it done, and all these things. But we weren't talking to anyone for like the first, few months of like building this thing. And that was a mistake, because now like we're like starting to talk to people and like learn like how much time could you devote each week to getting this done. Like, what do you want to see? And like we're finding that a lot of people don't want to deal with like equipment. So like we're going to try to simplify things as much as possible so that like people just get in the mode of actually creating and building things, instead of getting like, it's a common thing where like something will get in their way of their growth, whether it's like a camera or like whatever it might be. They think that I need to have this camera in order to do like a podcast, or like this microphone, da 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 da. So it's that whole common self-limiting belief thing. But to your point, I think it's really great to talk to your clients and like learn from them.
And also, you got to think of it this way. This is ego. I've got something that everyone's going to love. How do you know that? Every musician thinks that people are going to love their song. Every movie producer thinks everyone's going to love their movie. You don't know until you put it out. And what's marketing? Speak to consumers, develop products on the back of them, and then promote them. Everyone thinks marketing is just promotion, right? It's not. You got to talk to customers and develop products that they want. And I think this is really important. And by the way, Dan Kennedy's irresistible offer is that you've addressed every single problem your dream client will have. So when you think about podcasts, if you did the Dan Kennedy problem solution path, you would have sat and said, they're going to have problems with their cameras, and they're not going to be comfortable on the screen, and they're not going to know what software to use, and they're not going to want to use Heartbeat, and they're not going to want to download another app. You would have thought about all that at the beginning and then tested those ideas. And that's a really good creator tactic for content. Because if you come up with 365 problems, that's 365 posts right there. That's your year sorted.
Last
Thank you.
question I got for you is like, what content do you feel like works well for getting leads? Would you say, like, out of like your content strategy, would you say like testimonials are good for getting leads, or like carousels, or like, is there a certain format or a certain thing that you've noticed that drives leads more?
The king of persuasion, Robert Cialdini, who talks about the things that you need to influence people. And so, it's social proof, it's unity, where people feel like they're the same type of person as you. There's scarcity. I'm only offering this to the first 5 people. Urgency. My next cohort starts. And I think there's all of those things. So I try to build all that into my content constantly, right? I've only got 5 people per cohort. Oh, we're starting here. It's the last one for the year, and all this kind of stuff. Look, I'm the same as you. When I started, I struggled with this. That's the unity part. Here's a testimonial from Jeremy about how I helped him set up his 6-figure bit, right? So all of those things have to be constantly built into your content. And sometimes you can, that Matthew guy, I don't know how to pronounce his surname.
Levichek, I think, the
Yeah,
guy that's like
Levitch.
really
Yeah.
good at sell it. Yeah,
Yeah,
that guy.
yeah, yeah. So he talks about how he tries to include all of the Cialdini things in his DMs. He tries to include
Mm.
all of them, like the unity, the scarcity, the urgency, and so there's no right way. David Bowie said, "If it works, it's old." And what he meant by that, you could take that from a business perspective. If a tactic works, then it's already old because everyone's going to use it and the market's going to get wise to it and they're going to know what you're up to. So we constantly have to evolve how we present things. But I think to make it simple, just tell the truth, talk about what you do, be creative with your content, give value, be consistent, and then ask for the sale when you want to ask for the sale. Like, ask for it.
I think a lot of people are scared to ask for anything. Like that's part of the problem, I feel like, is they don't want to ask because they feel like they're, I don't know, it's like a sales problem that they have in their mind.
Most people will say, because I hate it when I get pitched. And I say, well, that's the way around. Stop hating the pitcher, start empathizing with the pitcher, and then you will be more comfortable pitching. That's what you're in control over. You're not in control over what other people feel. You're in control over what you feel. So work on that.
I don't know. I'm kind of people that cold call me sometimes because I've done it before in the past and I know how much it sucks. So, and if they're cool, I'll talk to them. But that was a really fascinating conversation. I appreciate all of your knowledge and expertise in psychology. Where do people find you, Mo?
Mo Choice, MOE Choice. I'm mainly on LinkedIn, but you can Google me and you'll see what I'm up to. But on LinkedIn, just follow me there, connect with me there, engage with my content there. I post 5 times a week, Monday to Friday, and you'll be able to know everything I do there and then. But everything, there's only one Mo Choice on Google. So Google Mo Choice, you'll find everything there.
Cool. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for your time and the opportunity.